Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and according to a recent report from Omida, the iPhone 11 is the most popular smartphone, now shipping 19.5 million units in Q1 of 2020. For reference, the most popular iPhone before that last year was our beloved iPhone XR, which in comparison shipped only 13.6 million units in the same time frame. Now, to me, this makes a lot of sense. When I first reviewed the iPhone 11 on this channel, I said that it was the smartphone to get, even over the iPhone 11 Pro or the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which granted did make some better decisions this year than the XS or XS Max. But after more than half a year, and with the recent release of the iPhone SE, should you buy an iPhone 11 now or wait? Okay, now before we get into this video, and I know this is super last minute, but I will be doing an AMA over on the R iPhone community, that's the Reddit iPhone community, and I will be doing an AMA via their Discord. So if you would like to ask me literally any question, make sure you go sign up right away as soon as you're done watching this video. I will leave a link in the description as well as in the pinned comment. So as many loyal viewers on this channel know, I have been using the iPhone SE exclusively for the past month now. And if you want to know more about my iPhone SE and my review of it using it 1 month later, I will leave a link somewhere up here. But when the time came after my iPhone SE review, I had a choice to make. Which phone would I put my SIM card into and use as my next phone? I could pick the iPhone 11 Pro Max, a $1,099 smartphone, or I could go with my Galaxy Z Flip, a $1,400 folding Android smartphone, or go back to my top recommended smartphone of 2019, the iPhone 11. Well, considering as I just got done wrapping up the iPhone SE review, I wanted to go to the next logical step for most consumers if they were looking for an upgrade, and that logical choice falls on the iPhone 11. So I did that. I picked up my trusty green phone over here, and I have been using it since wrapping up my iPhone SE review, and I actually have some conclusions that I want to share with you, especially if you are in the market and deciding between an iPhone SE or an iPhone 11, or maybe you were deciding to wait for the future iPhone 12. Now again, this review is heavily influenced by the fact that I've been using a 4.7-inch iPhone SE for a solid month now, and when I first picked up the iPhone 11, the 6.1-inch display, which used to feel normal to me, felt downright huge. That feeling lasted for about a day or two, but after using the phone, what used to feel like a massive display quickly just felt like a normal display size. It's almost this weird trick that your brain does. It's the same thing that happened to me when I switched to my iPhone SE. At first I felt that the phone was really small, but after adjusting to using it, it felt normal. Then going back to the 11, all of a sudden it just felt massive again, and then quickly my brain adapts and everything feels normal. However, even after all that brain trickery, I could appreciate the larger display size, especially for typing, having more content on screen, viewing photos, and watching videos, especially in the 2:1 aspect ratio. Don't comment. I know my videos are still not shot in 2:1. I know they're shot in 16:9. Maybe one day we will adopt this new aspect ratio. Now, the quality of the LCD display on the iPhone 11 is still something I am personally very happy with. Granted, this is an opinion that a lot of other tech reviewers on this platform don't share, because it lacks an OLED panel, the same panels found on various Android phones and the iPhone 11 Pro series. In fact, the big rumors for the next iPhone, the iPhone 12, is that every single model will in fact come with an OLED display, making this iPhone 11 probably the last flagship iPhone that will have an LCD display. Overall, I find the resolution and the 326 pixels per inch to be more than enough at a normal viewing distance. I never think to myself that the display doesn't look sharp even when comparing it against my iPhone 11 Pro Max. And the quality really does look close to even the OLED one found on the iPhone 11 Pro, even though I think the Pro does have the better display, especially for watching video, for dark mode users, or for using it in bright sunlight thanks to the higher display brightness. Even though I think the Pro has the better display, I still think the overall benefits of going to that display don't outweigh the cost of the Pro series. Speakers continue to be really good for this device, and I could hear the improvements even better after recently using the iPhone SE. I mostly use the phone's speakers for listening to podcasts as I walk around the house in the morning, getting my daily routine done. Gesture controls were also something I had to give up when switching over to the iPhone SE, which uses a home button and does not have the more full screen design of the iPhone 11. And let me tell you, it was so much harder initially going from gesture controls to the home button, and once I went back to the iPhone 11 after using the home button, I adjusted immediately. Gestures like swiping up to go home or swiping on the bottom to switch between apps felt much faster and much more fluid than reaching down and clicking or double-clicking a home button. And yes, Tim, the swipe is indeed better than the button. Face unlock via Apple's Face ID was also a welcome return. In a recent video by my good buddy Viper, he did a battle between Touch ID versus Face ID, so go watch that if you haven't, but my tweet made it into his video, and I said that Face ID was basically better because it does not require me to think about it or take action on it. I can look at my phone and it unlocks. Furthermore, Face ID is also faster when you're actually using your phone because it authenticates quicker into password managing apps, banking apps, and autofilling passwords in apps or Safari. However, even though I prefer Face ID, I must admit that recent world events have required a lot of us to start wearing masks. And Face ID and masks do not work well together. Now, Apple did add a feature in iOS 13.5 to detect when you are wearing a mask and bypass Face ID and skip right into entering either your PIN or your password. But even this is not an ideal fix to this authentication solution. And this is something where my opinion has changed. Before, I think I said that Face ID was the superior unlocking method and that I preferred it over Touch ID, and I didn't want to see Touch ID come back. However, after experiencing Face ID while wearing a mask, I now kind of have a different opinion. I think Apple should add both options, so keep Face ID and then also add Touch ID as a secondary option into unlocking your phone, and then by having both of them, you can unlock via Face Unlock or Touch ID, and then also give users the option to use both. That way, if you want to be really secure, you can have your face and your thumbprint authenticate. Another feature I was able to appreciate on my iPhone 11 after my recent experience of using the iPhone SE was the battery life. On my iPhone SE, I could get around 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time in an ideal use case. With the iPhone 11, I am getting around 7 hours or more of screen on time. That extra 2 hours of usage is huge, and it's the difference between me needing to charge the phone halfway through the day like I usually had to do, again, with the iPhone SE. Performance also continues to be great on the iPhone 11, and as of this iOS release of 13.5, a lot of the bugs that plagued the previous versions of iOS 13 seem to be all but ironed out. As I sit here, I can't think of any major bug that I've encountered since returning to this phone on the latest software update. After nearly 8 months of use, it shows no signs of slowing down. The most demanding task I probably use my iPhone 11 for is playing a few mobile games, usually something like Call of Duty Mobile, and on the iPhone 11, I can put that game on max settings and max frame rate. And while I don't think many apps are truly harnessing the power of the A13 chip, as I said with my initial review of the iPhone 11, the A13 is more about raw processing power now. It's about ensuring that this phone should work for the next 4 to 5 years and still have a snappy user experience while continuing to receive the latest software updates. That was a recent experience I had with the original 2016 iPhone SE, which can still run iOS 13 and performs great running it. That's not to say I don't want to see any improvements to Apple's software to take more advantage of this processing power. I am of the mind that it's long past time that Apple adds picture-in-picture support over to iPhones. It's something that not only Android has, but iPad does as well. So it's not like Apple is opposed to this idea on some principled level or the iPhone 11 simply can't handle it. I also think with phone screens being as big as they are, there should be support for split screen multitasking as well. Granted, this is a feature I rarely use on Android, but there's definitely a few times where I could see myself using this feature, and I know a lot of other users would like to see this as well. Now, one of the things that's hard to answer in our initial reviews of smartphones is the durability after a longer period of time. Well, over 8 months, mostly the iPhone 11 has held up pretty well. Granted, I haven't dropped my phone from any crazy distance, and not really much at all. There have been a few times, but the phone is uncracked on the front and back. However, there is one major downside with durability, and perhaps my worst experience with my iPhone 11 is how easy it is to scratch the front of the display. My screen has a few hairline scratches, and while I can't see them when the display is turned on, when I turn off the display and I hold it at a certain angle for the light to hit it properly, I can definitely see those scratches, and it's kind of annoying. Now, one thing that I don't really have any issues with is the camera on the iPhone 11. I seriously love the camera, and I love the pictures this thing is able to take. The wide-angle lens takes great pictures in most lighting situations, and even in low lighting thanks to the night mode that is exclusive to the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro phones. Not even the iPhone SE with the powerful A13 chip apparently is capable of taking night photos, which is one of the main reasons why I would recommend the iPhone 11 over the iPhone SE if you take a lot of pictures indoors or in dim lighting scenarios. The iPhone 11's night mode is definitely worth having. The ultra-wide camera is also a secondary nice addition to have, but it's not something I absolutely need in a smartphone. But hey, it's an additional lens and you can get some really nice pictures if you are in a good lighting environment. I think the biggest addition I want to see for the next iPhone is for the ultra-wide to also add the night mode option, because the ultra-wide angle lens does struggle in low lighting. Also, because you have both lenses, you can take portrait mode pictures of more than just human faces, so you can also take it of pets and objects. The video quality is still pretty much unrivaled in most other smartphone cameras. And again, this is a camera that I like to use when shooting video for B-roll in outdoor locations. So I'm still impressed with the video quality on the iPhone 11, and you can get options for 4K video all the way up to 60 frames per second, all with extended high dynamic range. Now, hopefully I was able to convey some of the things I liked about the iPhone 11 and some of the issues I also had with it after using it for around the past 8 months. And while this isn't super in-depth like my official review for this phone, I didn't just want to do the same review over again and call it a day. But I did want to make this video especially in light of the new iPhone SE out, and that also being a valuable option for consumers. The iPhone SE retails for $399, while the iPhone 11 is $699. That is a $300 price jump, so I wanted to see if the iPhone 11 was still worth it with the iPhone SE now being out. Also, the title of this video was Buy Now or Wait, and I do have to answer that question. So honestly, after using this phone again, I think the iPhone 11 is still worth it, especially if you need a new phone right now. It is still definitely worth the purchase price of $699, although I do think you should get the $749 to get double the storage of 128 gigabytes. I think it represents one of the best valued iPhones out there, and I still think it is the better buy over the iPhone 11 Pro. And even though the iPhone SE has an A13 chip and a good camera, the iPhone 11 still represents a significant upgrade over that device that most consumers should still choose the 11, especially for the better battery life, low light camera performance, or if you prefer a bigger display. If you don't need a new phone right away, if you're still on something like the iPhone 10 or later, I would recommend waiting to see what the iPhone 12 has to offer. It's not that long away from being released. That iPhone is rumored to be coming in 4 different sizes with OLED panels on all models, and maybe even a lower starting price with a brand new 5.4-inch model. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the iPhone 11. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, make sure you leave me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, make sure you're subscribed. Also, be sure to let me know what you think of the iPhone 11 in the comments below. Do you still think that it's worth it, or would you go for another option like an iPhone SE or an iPhone 11 Pro? Also, don't forget that Reddit AMA is literally just like an hour away, so make sure you go sign up if you want to ask a question. Again, I will answer literally any question you have for me. As always, if you want to support the video in any way, make sure you check out some of the links in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.